So we can see Apple breaking. Hey everybody, in today's video we're going to go through 5 stocks to watch tomorrow. I do want to focus on the indexes as well. I just want to go through 5 names very distinctly because I'm seeing some things that we should really be paying attention to considering that they're leaders. And we're just going to start with Apple. Now, you can see Apple pretty clearly here, and we were pretty defined before, right up here, 146 we'll call it. And we just kept riding that DTL or downward trend line. And you can see that. And eventually it just gave. Now, no one really saw this coming with China riots. And then there was some news today that they might be pulling advertising on Twitter, or they are going to lessen the advertising. Elon had a comment about this. It's definitely worth noting that it's not a good look for the company. And it's not the spot that you want to be. It's their advertising dollars. They can do whatever they want with it. But it's just not a good look to be out there talking about maybe you're going to buy Manchester United. You have all these people out there that are protesting that literally turned into a full riot over the weekend. And now you're pulling your ad dollars, which really doesn't make a lot of sense on how they would justify that. Obviously, they're allowed to do whatever they want. But these kinds of moves and missteps, and at least 2 of those are missteps, that gives this market a little uncertainty. And the last thing it wants right now is uncertainty from anything. So you're seeing a lot of selling coming in here. Now, in regards to the moving averages and where we're at, this was the more troubling thing for me, the fact that we couldn't even get back to that 55-day moving average. So that's going to keep me away from it, right? It's not going to keep me as interested. So I would watch that. I'd watch that really carefully here. But do I think you need to short it? I don't know. It's so interesting to me. I think it's just so obvious at this point that it's a short that it's probably not. And I know that sounds counterintuitive, but it's that kind of market where when it looks like it's something, it's not. And this is what happens during bear markets. They just shake you out and they tire you out. Now, we are seeing some movements across some other sectors, but I do think it's important to look at some of these leaders. So ENPH is one that's on my list. I was watching these levels really closely today, and now you're starting to break down a little bit here. And I think it's worth noting, now we're breaking the 5-day moving average. Well, we really have not broken that 5-day moving average for some time. Okay, you can actually say since November 9th, we've really been trading above that 5-day moving average, and now we're closing below it. So that's a crack. And now I've got a trend line where we've hit on ENPH over 3 times. It's concerning at this point. So again, we're going to put the brakes on a little bit. We're just going to watch. We're going to see how it acts, and then we're going to go from there. AXSM was one that we did in the trading community today and did quite well with. This had a phase 3 study that met its endpoint. For those that are new to investing in biotech, when you hear the words meets primary endpoint, that's really what people are looking for, investors are looking for. And that's what they came out and said today. Now, you still have to go through FDA approval, but if you just take a look at where this was on a monthly, this is where we could probably head to, right? Because now the phase 3 trial's out, it met its primary endpoint, and this obviously had a lot to do with this kind of movement. So it's definitely something that we want to pay attention to. Now, when you flip a level like this, hopefully you come back and you retest. But for the day, I just think it was just absolutely perfect. If you drill into this a little bit and you just see how it acted, it did pretty much what you would expect. 1, 2, 3, and then just flips. And that was pretty much it. It was risk on, and then it just played out perfectly. I think we pulled $6 or $7 out of this. It was just a monster today. And then when you started to break down, we just started peeling out of it, and that was it. But I don't think it's over. I think this should be something that's on your radar. Very similar to what you saw happen with like REGN. I don't know if you remember that one, how that broke out, and then it just kind of goes sideways, and then all of a sudden you're up another 5 or 6%. Who knows where it winds up, but it's definitely one that would be on my radar, that's for sure. So this SI was one that I was looking on the long side. I saw a little break above here. We had that great news. Someone bought 16% of the company. It's like nobody cared today. It was really kind of surprising. And when you see news like that nobody cares, it raises a red flag. So, for right now, I'm just going to watch and see how it acts, but it's not acting well. This is a pretty textbook evening star right there. And it looks like we're going to test this 23 level. So right now it's just, risk off and let's watch and see how it goes. And you're seeing more of that. I think it could be because BlockFi filed for bankruptcy today. And now you're seeing that 4061 on coin is setting up again. And this is really what happens with these names. You think you're going to bounce, right? And then you close over a level, don't have your confirmation, and then what happens? You break down and you roll again and you form an H. And that's exactly what's happened here. So that's definitely something that we have to be aware of. I do think that if any of these are going to crack, I do think it's coin. And I think if it breaks that 4061, it would still be a great short position for people to look at. So I wouldn't rule that out. Now, the one name that was very surprising today as far as strength was Tesla. I was really surprised how it acted. So the fact that you were trying to flip this level today and the fact that you didn't make a lower low, like in other words, you didn't make a lower low on the day, right? That's the first thing that was kind of striking considering what was going on in the markets. The second thing is you never got to the opening price. So the only thing that I would look at is the first 15-minute bar and set up that range. So you just might want to screenshot these numbers and watch them for tomorrow. But if you look at this, right, like that's pretty impressive considering the selling we had today. Now the selling we had was based upon the two Fed speakers that came out. One said that they see slowing inflation. The other one says they don't see slowing inflation. It's like a clown car lately. And I just wish they could all get on the same page. But I just think you have to watch these levels really carefully tomorrow because we should, if we were going to sell off, we should have sold off. And we didn't. We basically hung out at the breakout bar, right? I mean, like you never broke the 15-minute orb, right? You can see that and how you just held right in there. So I find things like that fascinating and I pay attention to that. So again, you just might want to screenshot those so that you have them for later. But I do think that, why wouldn't you break down? Like of all the names today, right? I mean, is it just because you're done? Like this is not ideal to see a gravestone like that. I'm not doing cartwheels about it. But it's just interesting of all the names, like why wouldn't you roll today? Now, maybe you do tomorrow and maybe you take out that low and maybe you take out that 179. And if you do, well, then it's probably, probably a really good short. But I would just be careful here with this kind of strength. The prevailing wisdom is that it's just so obvious that we're going to roll. And I actually put out a video today, which was just a clip of the SPY and me stating what I think is going to happen. I did it early this morning. So make sure you subscribe to the channel, click all notifications, because I do put out videos. That was just a clip of Saturday's video, and I'll link both at the end of this. But when you see something like this, and you see these levels that are here, right? So here's our level, okay? Now we have this level and it's perfect, right? So we have a level and we think that level's perfect. Okay. But we thought we were going to break out here. So I'm not going to bore you with the whole dragon pattern again. It's in the video. I'll link it at the end. I strongly recommend you watch it. I'm not broken yet. So I just want to clear that up. Just because I didn't do exactly what I wanted it to do today does not mean that I'm broken. Am I doing cartwheels that I'm below the 5-day and that I didn't break the 200? No. Am I thrilled about the volume today and the fact that there were no participants? Not really. And I really don't like the fact that this sell volume was greater than the last 3 days of buying volume. I'm not crazy about any of that, but you're going into a week where you have PCE. You're going into a week where we have Powell speaking again. And we have another Fed speaker, or I think 2 or 3 before him. You have GDP coming out. So we're seeing some weakness in here, right? I don't know that that just means all of a sudden we need to get out of the way and start shorting. You can pull back to 390 and then retest again. That it wouldn't be surprising to see like a sell down tomorrow and then a turnaround, right? Like that wouldn't be shocking, and it wouldn't be the first time. Now, if you take a look at the NASDAQ is the weakest of them all and didn't have the ability to get over that 307 level or even come close to it, right? But you're not really breaking down. I mean, you're not going up, right? And you did make and you definitely made a lower high right here, and you can see that. But you're not falling apart. So even today we had a trade in the community. We're here. I'll do it really quickly and just show you where this just gave a signal. And once it gave that signal, that was it. It was risk on. We put the trade on, and then we just dealt with the nonsense of them speaking today. And you have to have some patience, and I know it's hard, but when these Fed speakers come out, they're just all these algos are just trying to whack you around and take your stock. So you have to have some patience. If you can't, just a really quick tip, just drop your position size substantially so that you're in there. But then you can just see the flip, 1-2 test, breaks out, boom, there's your flag, and then it goes, right? So this was a pretty simple trade, and then when it got back up to here, we just took half off, and then it cracked underneath, took the other half. I don't feel comfortable being short this market overnight. Like if you look at SQQ, that's a bear flag. And on top of that being a bear flag, this is a DTL. So if I'm just looking at the inverse side of this isn't overly exciting to me. And you're seeing a lot of people getting giddy about this on the VIX. And I'm not so sure that I'd be overly excited that you have a doji on the VIX and you were unable to, that's all you were able to get today. Where's the selling? Like, where's the mass selling? Like, get me out. I knew this was going to happen. We didn't see that today. I think, if anything, we saw just complete lack of interest in the market. So we'll see what tomorrow brings. But I would watch this. Now, you might want to mark that if you see the VIX flip that 22.5, you're going to want to just pay attention to that. You don't really want to get above that. If you are interested in the trading community, it is on wait list to the end of the year. There is a link up here in the top right corner. Simply click the link and you will be added to the wait list as well as the newsletter. Everybody, have a great evening. Trade to win.